Welcome to the Geek and I podcasts. We're doing something a little different today. This is a kickoff of Season 2. The reason we're doing Season 2 is, well, Season 1 really kicked my butt. I got sick, needed to go into the hospital 2 times, and then have some surgery. So, we decided, let's put this all behind us. And helping out to put it behind us is my new co-host. You know him from the Collectorszone. Here's Jeff Dickinson.
Brown, hey guys.
Hey Jeff, tell everybody about yourself.
Well, as you know, if you follow me on the Collectorszone on the YouTube channel, I have a passion for collecting, a passion for video games, movies. As you can see, my Kevin Smith sign there. But most importantly, I'm grateful and thankful to John firsthand. You know what? We did a couple of episodes together for Season 1. Let's have some fun. So I appreciate it, John. Thank you so much, man.
Now, to kick off the fun with this season, we have you've lined up a special cat. You know this guy. Let's give you let's give him the intro that you gave me to make him to sell me on episode 1.
All right, man. Well, this dude, he's a badass. I mean, I've known him for a while. He's a cool dude. He's a great musician. Well, let's do the introduction. Let's talk about the man, the myth, the mystery, the metal god in the making, Liam.
Hey guys, great intro, Jeff.
He is
mystery. That's about.
if anybody can string an eloquent line of words together, it is that guy right there.
Yeah.
Jeff Dickinson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on today.
Well, thanks for being here. Let me let us start with just a basic thumbnail introduction of yourself. What got you started? What inspires you? And just something so the audience can get a quick representation of who and what you're all about.
Well, you know what got me started? Rock and roll. Back in junior high school, that's when it all started for me. And I was introduced to some underground bands at the time, Saxon, just Armored Saint. There's a whole slew of underground bands back then. Loudness was underground, and it was a metal scene. And then out of left field, somebody introduced me to Blue Oyster Cult, and it kind of sent. I still was into the metal thing. I've been into metal my whole life, but Blue Oyster Cult just had a different flavor for me, and consequently, I was talking to Jeff about it the other night. He asked me what my first album that I ever bought was, and it was Blue Oyster Cult Spectres. So, Boston.
Right, well,
that was my fourth.
You guys got me beat because Jeff mentioned that what was your first album that you saved up for and went out and bought, and this one here is mine. 1974, nice. The Story of King Kong by Wonderland Records. I don't know if you guys remember Wonderland Records. They did all the Disney stuff, and I saw this in the basement record section of a store called Corvettes back on Long Island where I grew up, and this. I just had to have it because I was in love with King Kong, and I don't have, I think the first CD I bought was Whitesnake,
Nice.
That was my first CD. As far as
Was it from the Here I Go Again album?
Which album was it?
Yeah, it was that one.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
That's a good one.
that's the one that everybody wanted. You know, nobody really done anything with Whitesnake until Still of the Night came out.
That was the one where that chick was dancing in the car, right?
Yeah, and then he married her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
That was a good one for sure. That was one of my favorite Whitesnake albums.
I remember going into the record shop, and I had just heard this new song on the radio called "Rock of Ages," and I asked the guy at the record shop. I was like, "What album is that? Rock of Ages?" I didn't know the name of the band. I just knew it was the song that went from speaker to speaker during.
Is that Def Leppard, maybe? Rock of Ages?
That was Def Leppard, yeah. And he tried to sell me a Deep Purple album, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's Deep Purple.
What about you, Liam? What was yours?
Deep Purple at that time back then, that would have been probably
Perfect Strangers, right?
Perfect Strangers, yeah, maybe.
So
I know music a little bit.
You mentioned loudness and metal, and as you can see from my record collection, I was nowhere near that when I was younger. In the late 80s, I think it was. Yeah, it must have been the late 80s because I was an usher at a movie theater. A friend of mine who was the projectionist had a pirate radio station out on the end of Long Island, and we would go out there every Friday and Saturday night and turn up our massive 2.5 watts of power and play some hard stuff. Alice Cooper, and that was my introduction to metal. And that's all I listen to now is 80s hair bands.
Yeah.
Well, I remember. Go ahead, Liam.
No, I was going to say, I remember the days, and I could sit here and try and remember all the different metal bands I listened to, Tigers of Pantang, and there's so many of them, and consequently the 80s were a little hazy for me. But as they should have been at that time. I'm a product of the 80s. It's interesting, and I'm sure we'll get into it more in the interview, but it's interesting how my musical influences over the years have changed. My roots are metal, but I have some really unique influences that Jeff, it'll probably trip you out when you hear. We'll get into it. I'm sure you guys have some questions for me to answer.
Actually, that is one of my first questions is who inspires you and has in the past to pursue the type of music you play?
Well, probably my biggest inspiration as far as a band goes is Saxon. Saxon was my number one band back in the early 80s. It's what made me at the time. I was pretty young, just out of high school, and I graduated in '84. But that whole era, that was the time where I was like, man, I want to be a rock star. I didn't play guitar at the time, and of course, Van Halen was just on fire at the time, and I had a buddy of mine in high school. His name is Todd Hobby. I don't know if he'll be seeing this tonight, but if you're watching, Todd, you inspired me big time. But anyway, he is actually a professional musician now. His genre changed, but he could do anything Eddie Van Halen could do. And seeing this guy play was amazing. And he wasn't even back then. He wasn't a rock star. He was a local rock star. I grew up in a little town outside of Sacramento called Woodland, California. And anyway, but as my music taste began to expand, and all my buddies, man, we were all listening to metal and 80s stuff, and I never really got into the Motley Crue Poison and all that. Just, you know, the whole hair metal thing didn't do it for me. I ended up getting into neoclassical, so I was jamming with a guy. I started playing guitar early on. I think I played for probably a couple of months. And there was a guy I played with back then, his name was Pat Burke, and he was really, really good. And we needed a bass player, and I sucked at guitar, so it was like, I'll just play bass. So I switched to bass back then, and started playing neoclassical. You know, Vinnie Moore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Tony McAlpine, and just, you know, it spawned off into this musical venture that kind of got out of metal, and I was listening to more classical music to learn how to play it. I was listening to new age music, so if you've ever heard of Windham Hill or Michael Hedges or William Ackerman, you know, I still listen to metal, and when I was with my friends, we all listened to metal. But when I went home and I was like looking at the musical genre, or maybe not genre, but just the aspirations of what I wanted to do with music and where my head was at and what mood I wanted to create in music, I was reaching into these other genres, you know, like new age. And then I was a huge Sade fan, which really playing bass. I mean, by the end of the 80s, man, I could have stepped in upon request and went and played a show with Sade and played every bass on every single song that she's ever written at that point in time. And but I still listened to metal, listened to rock, but it wasn't until the last probably 5 years that I started searching back through classic rock, you know. So, you know, Allman Brothers. Like right now, Warren Haynes is one of my favorites. You know, I listened to some of this classic rock, you know, and I heard it before, and it was all good before, but there's just nothing like it now, and which leads me into where I'm at today, doing what I'm doing today, because I put my own spin on it. You know?
Now you mentioned Van Halen, and of course, you know, it's only been few weeks since he's passed. How did that hit you? Did you take that hard? Was it something that you needed to process?
It was. You know, we're losing a lot of them lately. I mean, we're at that age group where we're losing a lot of different icons in the music industry. It's just at that age, you know. I mean, people are in their 60s and 70s, and you know, except for guys, you know, like except for
Keith Richards. How's he still alive?
Yeah, except for Keith Richards, he's about 1,000 now and pickled pretty well. But you know, it's when Eddie Van Halen died, it took me a couple of days to process. I mean, when I heard about it, it was almost hard to believe. And I even went to the length of, when I heard about it, there's so many, you know, social media is just so full of
fake news,
a bunch of BS. I mean, just people just make stuff up.
I didn't know if it was clickbait or not. You know, when it first came through, I didn't know if it was clickbait. You know, I'm like, come on, really? You know, he's not much older than I am, and I'm searching the web, and everywhere I'm seeing is it's true. And you know, so unfortunately, we're in that time where people, you know, will make stuff up in order to get clicks.
Yeah, and you know, I did. I went and Googled it, and sure as heck, you know, that was it, man. I mean, he was gone. I knew he was sick, but it just, you know, you just didn't think it would happen like that so quickly.
And I think another thing that really makes it a shock is because there's so much of his music. You can turn on any rock station and he's still alive, and you don't really, it doesn't really hit you that they've ever gone, you know, like, you know, because you just turn it on and there he is, he's back again, and you know, doing his magic. But it's just one of those weird things that when you start to process it, that we're never going to have anything like that, I feel, ever again.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think there's those shoes will never be filled. You know, I mean, there's people that are great in their own right, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there are a lot of great artists, great guitarists out there, but Eddie Van Halen was definitely one of a kind, in my opinion. You know.
No, I totally agree because
you have a connection, right?
yeah, I was fortunate enough to cross pathways, as we could say, being in the radio industry. You know, saw Balance a handful of times, but doing an interview with him was the coolest. He was honest, straight up, laid back, like you wouldn't think he was a rocker because he was just kind of treating you like a human being. And I treated him the same way, and that was a mutual respect that I will never forget. So yeah, when he died, I was like, I mean, someone told me he passed, and I was like, and then when I saw Wolfgang's post, and that's why I knew it was real. And then Valerie followed behind him, and when I just I literally broke down, man. That's the reason why I tried to play guitar. I picked it up because I heard Eddie do Eruption on the first album of theirs. And I was fortunate enough, let me do this, to score this to a friend. There you go. 77 Plus Live. It's a whole bunch of live stuff when they were playing at the Hilton before the new album. Well, the only album, the first album. But it's before Gene Simmons found them and all that. They were just playing at the Hilton. The tracks on there was just amazing. Just hearing them do, you know, like everyone else starts out doing cover songs. It's just cool to hear Eddie just crack into that Eddie-ness.
And like you mentioned before, a lot of the artists are getting up there, and they will be leaving us soon. And you know, I consider myself lucky that I was able to. He's one of the few that I was able to go see. Like I was working at a radio station on Long Island, and I was able to score tickets for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour. I never saw them with Dave as headliner, but I did get to see them with Sammy. And you know, there's a lot of people that are leaving us that I say, you know, I should have gone to see them, and you know, now it's too late.
Well, it's like Ozzy. When the first time I got a chance to see Ozzy was during the Diary of the Madman tour with Randy Rhoads, another great guitarist. And of course, you know, I said I couldn't get total tickets. It was back in the 80s again, and then Liam, you probably remember that. And then once he's gone, he's gone, and you just can't take away that. But there's a live album that Ozzy did in his behalf, and just cool Randy Rhoads stuff on there.
So
I feel the Randy Rhoads, Liam.
Man, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, yeah, because the sound cut out for whatever reason. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. It's turned all the way up. I'm not really sure what happened here, but
yeah, you're coming through.
My question was about Randy Rhoads. You know, we all know how Eddie influenced us, but Randy Rhoads did classical music.
So I do remember when Randy Rhoads died, and that was pretty heavy too, because at the time, Randy Rhoads was also one of my favorites, and it was just, you know, it was just everything was just getting started with him when he when he died in the plane crash. So.
And it was a needless plane crash because they were bored and just flying around.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into more into you now. If there was one instrument or a piece of gear that you've always wanted and could never acquire, what would it be, or what is it?
One instrument, if I could have one instrument that I know I can't acquire, Man, I don't know, because I got everything that I want right now.
How about 60 Gibson?
I've really, I was inspired by a musician years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, or maybe a little longer, 8 years ago. But anyway, I was inspired by somebody to create a sound and do everything acoustic. And it was a musician that I really didn't, the band itself I didn't care much for in the '80s, and that was Winger. I don't know if you, I know Jeff's heard of Winger.
I'm a big Winger fan.
All right.
I love Winger.
In the '80s, I really wasn't into him that much. I mean, it was part of the whole hair band cock rock thing, and that wasn't my scene back in the '80s. But I had an opportunity. I was invited to a show. It was a private show, and it was Kip Winger solo. I mean, it was just I was doing a job, I'm in construction. I was doing a hotel renovation in Kansas City, Missouri, and I was invited to the show, and I thought, it's something to do on a Saturday night, right? So I guess I'll go, kind of thing. And it was at the Lucky Bar and Grill. And I actually have friends on Facebook from that show. I met probably 7 or 8 people there that I didn't know previously, and we stayed friends through Facebook from that show. And we got to hang out and talk to Kip Winger. We didn't go backstage. There was no backstage. He just played and came out and had a beer with us, But let me tell you something. Like, I've seen a lot of unbelievable shows. I've seen some really, really great shows in my lifetime, and none affected me musically and emotionally and awestruck as that single solo show with Kip Winger playing a 12-string acoustic guitar. It was massive. Like, the sound was something that I'd never heard before from an acoustic guitar. That changed a lot for me. Like, I mean, musically, that changed my direction. It changed how I thought of music. It inspired me huge. And, of course, as soon as I got back into San Antonio, man, I reached out to a singer that had been in bands, prior bands of mine, Carlos Trevino from Presence here locally, and reached out to him. And I reached out to a buddy of mine, Rick Mendez. He plays guitar and sings. He's more of a blues guy, kind of like Stevie Ray Vaughan. He plays with me now in Eclipse. But I reached out to these guys and told them my vision, and I transposed a few songs that had never been done acoustically before, and I transposed them and took them to the guys and said, hey, entertain this idea with me, man. I want to make this massive acoustic sound. And I don't want to be some coffee in the corner coffee shop act, man. I want to go out there and blow it out, on acoustic guitar, And they thought I was completely nuts. And they entertained the idea. They learned all the songs that I wanted them to. And we went out there and we did a 2-hour show in Corpus Christi. And man, people fell out. The place was just shoulder to shoulder packed. Nobody left. It was, it was amazing. And so that started the Eclipse journey, really. So,
That was awesome.
It was all because of Kip Winger and seeing that show. And honestly, at that point, that's where I was like, okay, let me give this guy a real shake and read up about him and find out about him. And consequently, the guy is just amazingly talented. And this is not a plug Kip Winger hour, but he really changed the way I look at music today. I mean, he really did. Like, it's unbelievable. So,
well, I'm not a big Winger fan, but Kip is excellent. And after we talked for a while, going back into listening to Toto and all that, my mom was a big fan of Toto, but certain key members of the bands that we listen to does inspire us. And the one thing that I was talking with another friend of mine about was Dangerous Toys. They had talent there, but then, it's a whole different genre, and you create your own. When I first saw you play live, brother, doing the Ripper, dude, I'm blown away. I'm like going, this is the man, this is the myth, the legend, the middle god of the makings. Yeah, you saw my excitement during that video that I posted a while back. So yeah, you're awesome, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm glad you like what I do, man. I have a spin on some of that stuff. I do everything in what I do currently today. I do everything from Sade to Judas Priest, and I do Black Sabbath, man. I do the most unique version of the song Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. It's never been done acoustically, and I do it acoustically. It's kind of cool. I've done it on a couple live streams, and then I've done it live. I did a house concert not too long ago, just during the COVID times. It was just I'd play any way I could get a chance to play, and I kind of came up with a concept of doing house concerts. Invite 12 of your closest friends that are not sick, and I'll come in and I'll play. I'll help you cater, whatever. But I played Black Sabbath, the song Black Sabbath acoustically, and there was a girl in the crowd that is a huge Black Sabbath fan, and she was like, oh my God, she goes, I will never forget this night. That is just the craziest and coolest thing I've ever heard, So if I can touch people that way, just do something that's so unique and different. I'm not an exceptional guitar player. I'm not an exceptional singer. My goal is to create a vibe, a mood, a feeling. I don't. I used to look at it like, man, I need to shred. I need to learn how to shred. I'm going to shred. I'm going to learn it and do it. Consequently, and there are people who can shred and put feeling and emotion to it, but then there are people who can just put emotion into single notes and convey what they're feeling, and people connect to that. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the fastest shredder. I never aspired to be Vinnie Vincent. I kind of think, no offense, Vinnie, if you're listening out there, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot better. So, in my opinion, I'm not a big Vinnie Vincent fan. It's just.
Well, you do leave an impression, brother.
There's no emotion to his playing at all. In my opinion, it's my humble opinion. I know there's people out there who love Vinnie Vincent, and it's the country we live in, man. We're all, we can all feel free to think about whoever and whatever the way we want. So
the first time that you picked up a guitar, was it? Did it just come natural? Did you have to take lessons? Were you forced to do it? Because I remember getting a guitar, my first guitar, when I was probably 10 years old. My dad got me a guitar, and I had no idea what to do with it. I read the books, is way before the internet, so I couldn't go on YouTube or anything and learn how to play the guitar. But then my son bought his first guitar, and within minutes, he's playing this guitar, and I know it can't be hereditary because I ain't got that in me. Was it simple for you, or did it take some couple of years? Did you figure it out? And
well, for me, guitar was like I told you in the beginning. I started to play early on, and I put it down to play bass, and I played bass for 30 years, and it came extremely natural. Like I never took music lesson. I don't know music that well. Over the last few years, the way I've always done it is I've always aspired to play better, and to this day, I have a certain expectation and level that I want to get to. And because I have a professional career in construction. I'll never be a rock star. only because it's just not at this late in the stage of the game. It's just never, I just want to play music and do it for people that enjoy listening to music. But when it comes to how I aspired to play and get better, I always played with better people. For me, it was I would put myself into the arena with better people, and they would teach me. And consequently, I played in a band in Boston, Massachusetts, a band called Zixo, and they were a prog rock band. This was back in the late 90s. Everybody in that band were Berklee grads, and the guitar player and the drummer were actually teachers at Berklee School of Music. And let me tell you, I auditioned for that band, and I heard the bass player before me, and I was packing up my junk and ready to leave because that bass player was the most badass bass player I've ever heard. And I just thought, there's no way I can compete with this guy. And just about that time, the singer, her name is Lizette, she walks out the door and she goes, "Bill?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Come on." And I just thought, man, this is going to be embarrassing. Because these guys are good, and man, we played for an hour and a half, and they hired me in the band, and I just couldn't believe it, because I'm self-taught, didn't know music at the time, but at that point in my life, I realized that I needed to figure it out, because I'm playing with musicians who know music, and when they're calling out, B flat minor 7 or what. I mean, I need to know what that is, So I've studied since, and recently, I've just been, because of some of the chord progressions that I've created, and it's just I have a thing on my phone that if I don't even know what the chord is, I just put it on the phone, and it tells me what the chord is. And there's chords that it says unknown chord. I mean, I don't know what kind of chord it is, but so I recreate music the best I can to capture the feel and emotion that I want to get. So
you have your instrument right there. Could you play us a little something?
What do you want to hear?
Spin the dial. Let's hit shuffle on the CD player.
Anyway, I don't know. I'm not sure what you want me. I mean, I can. I'm not like a shredder. I mean, I can play solos or whatever, but I can play. I don't know. What do you want to hear, Jeff?
Something from your heart. How's that one? Let your heart speak out. Because the way I see the music you're showing us, the music that you're showing us is spoken through the heart and played through your eyes of love for music. So pick something you are passionate about and just have fun.
How about one of the influences I have right now, I told you earlier, was Warren Haynes and Allman Brothers. I can maybe do something by that.
Right on.
to come and go. Gypsy flies coast to coast, loving many, loving none. In sorrow, having fun. Oh, sorry, man, messed it all up. But anyway,
It's all good.
Yeah, that works.
It sounds great.
That works
This is
for
all-
me.
sorry I messed it all up, but I'm kind of running out of time. I gotta head out here pretty quick.
All right, so let's ask you. You have anything coming out? Do you have any appearances anywhere that you'd like to plug? Get some word out as to where you're going to be, what you're doing.
Yeah, I've got a show this Friday at Lee's Taco Garage on Broadway here in San Antonio, and the show's from 8 to 10:30, and I also have a show coming up with Eclipse, my duo, my acoustic duo, at the Executive Surf Club in Corpus Christi on the 14th of next month, Saturday. So I have recently been contacted by a couple of venues downtown. So I look to be booking some more shows downtown San Antonio here coming up in the next month or so. But that's really all I got for now.
Well, that's great. I mean, especially in the kind of environment we're living in now. At least people are out there and they're able to enjoy some music, live music.
Yeah, and the key for me right now is, I'm trying to keep it. I'm a family man. Got people, my son and my wife here, at home, and everybody's concerned about the COVID thing. I am not a fan of the mask, although I wear it when I have to. But it's just one of those things. Like right now, I'm doing all the venues that I'm playing are outdoor venues. It's just a bit, for me, it's better. It's outdoor. People, they don't restrict how many people can come, but they restrict how many people are in each group. So, the venue, they've got it all secure, but outdoor, man, you can get a lot of people out there, and it just makes for a better show. And right now, people are hungry for live music. I've seen it, man. Some of the shows I've played have just been incredible. Like the crowd response is amazing, and as a musician, man, you couldn't ask for anything better.
Well, we live in a strange time, so therefore,
right
I mean, everybody's trying to be normal as much as possible, and you're providing something to people that speaks, from your heart, to people like me that is passionate about music. And dude, thank you, sir, for being on the show, much less doing what you're doing, inspiring others to become maybe a new musician that you never knew about.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, guys. And, it's been a pleasure. I don't do these very often. Outside of just playing live, I'm not in the public eye. I rarely will do an interview. I've done probably 3 in my musical lifetime. So this is a little different for me, and it's cool.
Well, we will definitely get the information up to where you're going to be and put those in the links on all the services that we touch, and hopefully people can get out if they're in the area in San Antonio or Corpus Christi. Come down and check you out.
Right on, man. I appreciate that, guys.
Do you have a website where you sell some music?
Make sure you cut out the part where I screwed up the song, though.
I'm a pretty good editor, but I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
Leave it in. I like it, man. It's called being a human being.
Yeah. Anyway, I wasn't quite prepared, but whatever.
Well,
I appreciate you for doing it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming, taking the time, and spending a few minutes with us.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks. You guys,
right.
If you ever get a chance to get down here to San Antonio, come hang out, man. Have a beer and let's talk music some more.
I think I'm only 6 hours away, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
John, I'll hop into a car.
And I'll pick you up. I'll pick you up, Jeff, on the way down.
Right on.
All
right.
So doors open here, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff, for.
Wasn't that bad?
That was pretty killer. To steal one of your phrases.
Hey, it's always going to be killer when you got someone cool, just like Liam, guy who loves music with a passion. And John, I want to thank you once again for including me in this new venue of the podcast of the Geek and I. That means a lot to me, brother. Thank you for bringing me in.
Well, you know, you're like I said the first time I met you, we were at a movie premiere and kind of hit it off.
Yeah.
And you know,
movie not so much, but us,
yeah, the movie not so much, but thanks for trusting me to do this, and we'll get together with you out there in the Podland next time on the Geek and I podcast. We are part of the Geek News Now podcast network. Head on over to geeknewsnow.net for all the latest and greatest non-clickbait information that's out there in the world of geekdom. Whether it be, how did you put it on your intro video? Whether it be comics, music, video games, cosplay, Geek News Now is the place to go because it is about you, the fans. No clickbait. We will not sell anything, any information that you may provide to us, whether it be your email, your name, nothing. It is just about you, the fan, and where you can get honest and accurate news for everything geek. So head on over to geeknewsnow.net, and I want to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Sumner Twins Talent. You can find them on the web at facebook.com/Sumner Twins. They have a huge lineup of movies that are just about headed into production, and some of them are I just can't wait. I can't wait to see. Actually, I can't wait to see all of them, but there are a few out there that I am just looking so forward to. So thank you for joining us on the Geek and I podcast. For Jeff Dickinson, I am John Biscardi, and I would like to say we will see you next time.
Layers, guys.